Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. We are live. This is Monday, the 29th of March, 2021. This is Real Talk with Mary Grace. And welcome in. So please share this. Let people know that we're live. Hello on YouTube. YouTube, remember to hit the thumbs up. Remember to subscribe and hit the bell so that you don't miss an episode. And if you're on Facebook, please share this into groups that you belong to and let everybody know we're here. And Periscope, I guess this is the next to the last day that we'll be doing Periscope. So it's interesting. We'll see what happens. I appealed the suspension on Twitter. I'm using my backup account over there, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. For people who are saying that Periscope is going away, it's not completely going from what I understand. It can, I think it's just going to be Twitter Live. So just like Facebook has Facebook Live, it's just, they're just shifting. So I think that's the way it's going to work. So it's good to see everybody here. We'll see what happens. The president is putting up his own social media platform. Hey, Jim. And Mike Lindell has something coming out. I think we're going to see some interesting developments going ahead. And so I think that we'll just see what happens. I wouldn't worry too much. One of the things that they've tried to do is silence our voices, and that clearly isn't working. It's a little harder to find people and get content, but before the internet, we had paper and snail mail and newsletters and leaflets. And, Martin Luther nailed something to the door of a church. So the word gets out. You can't silence the truth. And that's just the way it is. So, I think that sometimes I see people panicking about this stuff. And I think it's time to have some perspective about, how did we get this far? How did we get this far? I think we can figure it out. And because truth wins, God wins. And I don't want you to forget that. I see some people in panic mode in my Telegram, especially. Not panic, like despair, losing hope, giving up, things like that. And I just I think that it would be important to rethink where you are if that's you, because we weren't made for that. And if you're giving into that, if you're giving into the despair and hopelessness, then you actually are allowing your enemy to win. So I just want to encourage you to have hope. And I wanted to read you something. I was reading the Psalms this morning, and this is Psalm 111. 111 is a good number. Yeah, this is Psalm 111. I'm going to read it to you because, God is God. God is good. God wins. Here's the New American Standard Bible. Praise the Lord. I will give thanks to the Lord with all my heart. In the company of the upright and in the assembly, great are the works of the Lord. They are studied by all who delight in them. Splendid and majestic is his work, and his righteousness endures forever. He has made his wonders to be remembered. The Lord is gracious and compassionate. He has given food to those who fear him. He will remember his covenant forever. He will remember his covenant forever. He has made known to his people the power of his works in giving them the heritage of the nations. The works of his hands are truth and justice. All his precepts are sure. That means we can trust him. They are upheld forever and ever. They are performed in truth and uprightness. He has sent redemption to his people. His He has ordained his covenant forever. A little bit more here. Holy and awesome is his name. Holy and awesome is his name. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good understanding have all those who do his commandments. His praise endures forever. So I wanted to read that because, you know, I see a lot of people, even Christians, who tell me that they're on the verge of giving up and that they don't see the point of waiting, and they're tired, they're angry, things like that. First of all, righteous anger is a good thing. But the question is, what do you do with it? What are you doing with it? And if you are grumbling and complaining, then how does that change anything? And does it reflect a belief in who God is? Because God hasn't changed. God is a deliverer. God has promised us the nations, and He is good. He's always good. And so my question is, do you believe God or not? Uh, is He God or is He not? Has He stopped being God? And and the thing that I really want to emphasize here is, yes, it's hard what we're seeing. We're seeing things play out that we don't want for America or for anybody. And the thing that I have emphasized from the start is that that what is going on here, with President Trump, with the Patriots, is that, this is a very long game. And what I mean by that is not that it's going to take forever, but that the end result here is long-term changes. President Trump said over and over, this is not another 4-year election. And I want you to really think about that. Think about what that means. And I've been thinking about President Trump's election in 2016 because he said that then also. And I, as much as I wanted the president to be victorious and emerge victorious and to go into, 4 years of a honeymoon after fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting to defend our president over the last 4 or 5 years, I understand now why it had to be the way that it is. And I understand more about what the president meant when he said this is not just another 4-year election, because our favorite letter of the alphabet was asked early on, is there a plan for after Trump? Is there a plan for how these things get resolved? And is there a long-term plan? And the answer was yes. And so my question to you is this. My question to you is this, and just think objectively for a minute. If we had emerged victorious on November 4th, and and all of the cheating had been stopped in the process of cheating, if the electors had not been certified on January 6th, if they hadn't gone through with the fake inauguration of the resident in chief, if we hadn't seen the treachery that is sitting on the bench at in the Supreme Court, um, if we hadn't seen that, if we hadn't seen the agenda behind the New World Order and the things that they want to do to you and to me, and the condition that they want to impose upon you and the entire world, I if all of that had just been swept to the side and we had like a 4-year honeymoon of President Trump, be honest with yourself. Do you think that you would even care or want to know about what we've seen? Or would you just sort of be going on with your life and doing everything you could to have a comfortable life and not be inconvenienced? Think about that. And I want to ask you this also. Does it matter to you? Does it matter to you that America be saved, or do you want to see the whole world be transformed by what is happening? I see people saying things like, "This makes me angry," or "This has me upset," or "This is the last straw." Let me just ask you something. I want you to think about China for a minute. I want you to think about um, the way that they live and the way that they've lived for a long time under communist dictatorship rule. Do you really think that the forced passport is at the top of their list of things they're worried about? And again, okay, so here's a comment in YouTube, and it tells me I'm going to single you out because I don't think you're paying attention. And this is important because this kind of complaining, what does it accomplish? All right. When do the people get any kind of a win? It's a constant disappointment. Again, we have a president who's working on exposing, with white hats, exposing worldwide corruption. So you tell me if what you consider a win right now is even remotely has a chance of being a long-term win. Because if you look at these countries where communism has taken over and taken hold, tell me about their wins. Because if you're looking for a short-term win right now, if you're looking for a short-term win because you don't like feeling uncomfortable and you don't like being afraid about what they might do to you, then you're completely missing the bigger picture and the long game. Because if we have a short-term win in America, if we have a short-term win in America, and this is my point, okay? If everything had just gone swimmingly on November 3rd and the president just walked back into the White House and we had like 4 years of glory in America and low gas prices, uh, and then there was another election and there was midterms in 2022 and then again in 2024, do you really think that the peace and prosperity that is pretty much an illusion would last beyond 2024? I want you to really think about that because if you're complaining about not winning right now, then I don't think you really fully understand the extent of the loss that is coming to this country if we don't win this thing for good. I don't think you really understand that. And my words may sound harsh today, but this is important to understand because if you're sitting there complaining and you're saying, you know, we're losing, then you're missing the point because the long-term loss of our country not winning this is huge. It's huge. It again, the getting the forced vaccination will be the least of your worries. Look at the countries where this ideology prevails: forced sterilization, work camps, children working in brothels, children working 12, 15, 20 hours a day in factories. I get that it's not easy right now, but what you're seeing as hard right now is nothing. I've been to those countries. I've seen what they do. I've seen their children sitting in the streets selling pencils just to get enough food to feed the family for just to get enough money for that day to to be able to feed their family, okay? Yeah, why are we seeing no punishment for those being exposed? So you think that having that multiple indictments on child trafficking and, pornography, that nothing is happening? I don't think you're paying attention. Either that or you're a troll. Because this is what really gets me, is people who are saying nothing is happening. Really? Yeah. This is a massive, massive, massive spiritual battle. And so, what I'm saying to you is if you're one of those people that's grumbling and agreeing with the agenda of the enemy and saying, oh, they're just winning, we might as well. What's your option? Tell me what your option is. What is the alternative for you besides complaining? Like, seriously, what is it that you're complaining is accomplishing? And that brings me to one of my questions. So, are you part of the solution or are you part of the problem? Because I see a lot of people in my chat, not a lot, but some, and in my Telegram who are just, wah 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 wah. When is it going to? I'm sorry, but I don't think that way. I know that God wins. I know that God has good for our country. Do I see everything that's happening behind the scenes? No, I don't. Am I choosing to be positive and to embrace the promise that he's given us? Absolutely, I do. And so somebody just said, what is it that we can do practically? There are people have been saying this over and over and over again. One of the first things you can do is go get involved locally. Get onto your board of supervisors, run for the school board. You've seen that the way that these people get in and push their agenda is through these local areas. You can get involved locally. Pray. If you're complaining and you're not praying, then you're actually playing for the other side. I hate to tell you that. It's just true. I'm giving you some really hard truth today because I just yeah, again, put yourself in the shoes of, well, they don't have shoes, a lot of them, but in the feet of the people that are literally working their fingers to the bone in these other countries to make you the clothes on your back right now and the electronics that you're using to complain over the internet on. Think about that. I may offend some people today. I may lose some listeners today, but that's okay because this is really important to understand. The whole goal, the whole goal of everything that you're seeing right now is to turn America and the rest of the world into that country that is now being forced into slave labor to make the things that are giving you a comfortable life. Do you understand that? Stop complaining. I mean, I if this is your way of thinking, then then that no wonder you're miserable, because I don't think you're seeing the bigger picture. I really don't. I don't think you understand what's really happening here. So, somebody just said on YouTube, we're protesting Wednesday in Tennessee, Nashville, for our legislators to sign a bill in the House right now to stop forced mask and vaccines. Uh, Tennessee is fighting. Yeah, so this is what I'm saying. Tennessee stands. All right. Um, yeah, the thing is, you know, the victim mentality is it's just a losing mentality, the complaining mentality. And uh, guys, I used to be a complainer. I was pretty negative, and it really took some really hard things in my life to open my eyes to that. And I don't wish that on you. But if that's where you are and you're walking around with a gray cloud over your head and you're complaining about what's happening and you're not looking at the bigger picture here, this is not about America. This is not about this is not about you. Um, okay, here's a question on YouTube. I think this is a good question. Mary Grace, are you sure though that we are not being led to stay complacent and not fight back because that's what they want? That doesn't even make sense. Nothing that I have said has told you to remain complacent. If you're talking about, like, physically retaliating, I think that would be a mistake. I really do. And, and so I just gave you very concrete examples of how to fight back, how to get involved locally. It's a good question, but be very careful about that because I believe that the thing that I believe the deception is to think that right now is the time to go and take up arms and to get into and for Americans to be going against Americans, for neighbor to go against neighbor. That's the last thing that you want to do right now because that's what they want. That your neighbors aren't your enemy. The people working in stores that are enforcing stupid rules aren't your enemy. They want them to be. So be very careful about going down that road. If that time comes, um, I think that it will be made very clear by people that you trust that that time is upon us. I don't think that people telling you to stand down is the equivalent of people telling you to be complacent. Those two are not the same things. So get involved locally, get into your Republican committee, get in, pay attention to who's running for district attorney, for prosecutor, for supervisor. A friend of mine is running for supervisor in his, or commissioner in his county. That's how you start. School board, the unbelievably atrocious things that they're pushing down our kids' throats in the schools, they've gotten away with that because people haven't shown up to listen to what it is that they're trying to teach them. So this is an important time. And just because you are standing in faith and taking action at a local level doesn't mean that is not in any way to be equated with being complacent. Don't confuse the two. Standing down on one level, that's not complacency, that's wisdom. Okay? And one of the things that I want you to understand is that there are going to be factions that are extremes that are pushing you toward things like civil war. That this is not a that we're not in a situation where civil war is even warranted. Your neighbor is not your enemy. And anybody that's manipulating you to make you believe that is somebody that I would recommend you walk away from and don't pay attention. Don't give them any heed. The way that we fight is spiritually. The way that we fight is by putting on our armor and and getting wisdom and downloads from God and by getting involved locally at this point. So, uh this is important to understand. And I think that people are really missing this. Yeah, pay attention to who's getting elected as judges. A lot of counties have elected judges. Who do you think finances those? Who do you think is counting the votes for those? Okay. there is a propaganda machine. There is a propaganda machine that is at play and has been for a very, very long time. And they know how to manipulate the people. They know how to manipulate not just the people that you see walking around with face diapers on, they know how to manipulate you too. And that is the area where you can really get blindsided and taken off your game, because if because you're sitting here thinking about you're sitting here worrying about the the forced vaccination or the face diapers, this kind of thing, and you're looking at the other people around you and you're thinking, oh, they're such sheep, how come they believe this stuff? But here you are sitting around complaining and thinking that nothing has happened, and you're considering taking up arms against your neighbor, and you're calling them sheep. Do you see how you're being manipulated also? That's a subtle form of manipulation and propaganda that people are falling for. So don't get deceived by that. We are far more easily led and programmed than our egos allow us to believe that's actually true. Mhm. Yeah. So I wanna go into a couple of things. Yeah, like I said, here's the thing, you're born, uh you're born into this life, and you have a choice about whether you're gonna be fully engaged, and nobody can force you. But, there comes a time when you're gonna be challenged. You're gonna be challenged to be fully engaged and to participate fully. And nobody's saying it's easy. Nobody's telling you that it's simple. But, the other option is just to give up. I mean, it's your choice. Are you just gonna give up and be a fatalist? Nothing ever happens. We keep losing. All woe is me. I'm fighting for the other team now because I'm certainly not fighting for our team, for Team God, right? Somebody on hold on a second. I want to see this comment on Facebook. So somebody on YouTube says, "I got my list of numbers and emails together. The elected officials in my state. I started calling, emailing, and going face to face to hear their positions on all that we are facing. Hold their feet to the fire." There you go. Now, um, one of the things that uh, I think is important to understand is that um, the elected officials that work for you and for me have gotten away uh, have gotten away with what they're doing or not doing for far too long, and it is time to start holding their feet to the fire. It's actually pretty disgusting what has been going on, especially in Washington, D.C. Very few of the people that get elected to go to Congress actually, actually do anything for you. I mean, we're in a situation now where we are truly, uh, almost 100% participating in taxation without representation. I mean, these people, they're not representing you at all. And all they're doing is working on getting reelected and staying and making a career out of politics, which is not the way that it was designed to be at all. It should never, ever, ever have been that way. Um, so And the more I think about it, the more that it makes me angry. But I don't sit around and um, complain. Somebody said Crypto Beatles is starting a solution. He announced Operation Sunlight on his YouTube channel this weekend. Yeah, there's a lot of solutions. I'm going to the Health and Freedom uh, event in Tulsa that is run by um, Thrive Time and Steel Truth. So that's going to be pretty exciting. It's going to be very um, activist focused, right? Now, I have a question, or I want to ask you: did anybody see the video, the interview this morning of the interview this morning that of Mike Lindell on Steve Bannon's War Room? Did you see that? Did you see and hear what he said? I caught a snippet of it. For some reason, my chat just stopped. We'll see if it comes back. I wanted to ask you because I put it into my Telegram, and there was some chatter in there about it. Some people weren't very happy with what he said, but this is basically what it was. I'm just going to play it for you. I'm not going to hold it up to the screen. You just need to hear it. All right. Some people saw it on my channel. Is going bye-bye. It was an attack by another country, communism coming in. Hold on. I don't know what they're going to do with whatever I'm talking about, Steve, is what I have been doing since January 9th. All the evidence I have, everything is going to go before the Supreme Court, and the election of 2020 is going bye-bye. It was an attack by another country, communism coming in. I don't know what they're going to do with it after they pull it down, but it's hang on a second. Donald Trump will be back in office in August. What I'm talking about, Steve, is what I have been. Did you hear that last part? He said Donald Trump will be back in office in August, and so I put that in there, and some people were upset about it. I think Todd said he thought it was really irresponsible for him to give a date like that. And I wanted to know what you thought about that. What do you think about his statement coming from Mike Lindell? I know that people who have podcasts have been giving dates, and George has been telling us in the YouTube chat he's been telling us to be careful about listening to people who give us dates. And so now here we are, and Mike Lindell is saying August. So I want to know what you got, what you're thinking. Okay, so Minnie thinks maybe it's a distraction. Maybe something could happen before that. One of the things that that George said, George dropped a comment last week that said, like a thief in the night. And one of the things that we've been saying all along is that there's no way that we're going to disclose what it is that we're doing, and definitely not when. So I think it's interesting that we're hearing Mike Lindell say this. Okay, now that being said, okay, he's speaking in faith. I believe that as well, because it is possible and very biblical to decree and declare a thing, especially if you're hearing from God. And that's something that a lot of people don't understand. He said by August. All right. So again, okay, Lynn is making a comment. We've been getting dates all along and nothing has worked out. So here's a case of where's your attitude on this, and who are you listening to? So on the one hand, we have Mike Lindell. On the other hand, we have people on the internet who, in my opinion, are taking advantage of everybody's need and hunger to know something. I wouldn't equate Mike Lindell with those people who've been stringing you along and telling you that they have intel. All right. So be careful about conflating the two. Now, my thoughts about Mike Lindell are these. I've noticed something about him that's kind of similar to the president, and that uh, um, that is that the the way that he presents himself. First of all, let me just back up. Would you put would you put Mike Lindell in the category of somebody who's highly intelligent? Would you say he's pretty intelligent? What do you think? I mean, successful, intelligent. I think he is. I think he's very bright. Um, and I also think that about the president. But I've noticed that they both do something very interesting, which I think is part of their role that they're playing. And that is that they both come across in public on their public appearances as being a little bit naive and a little bit kind of like um what's the word? Confused. What do I mean by that? I mean, let me give you the president as an example. The president is really good at making his enemies think that he's confused and that he doesn't have his act together and that he doesn't really know how things work. Why do I say that? So, um, this is why I say this. If you think about the past, the few media appearances that he's made over the past couple of weeks, he's been talking about this. He's been talking about uh, his new way of getting communication out, and he's mentioned it a few times. And he said, I'm putting out these. I guess you would call them statements, for lack of a better word, maybe press releases. And, it seems to be working pretty well. And people are getting the word out and it's getting put on social media. And, people are getting the idea. And he seems, if you don't understand him, and if you have the bias that most of the media and the left have against him, then you're going to believe that he doesn't really know what he's talking about, that he's sort of this naive, sort of bumbling old man that really doesn't know how media works. Do you get that impression when you listen to the president when he talks about it's almost like, well, hey, I mean, we started putting these statements out and what do you know? I mean, they're showing them on Twitter and they're showing them on Facebook and they even end up on TV. Gee, golly. Have you noticed that? And I've noticed that Mike Lindell does the same thing. Have you noticed? So Mike is very driven. Mike is very focused, but at the same time, he has this sort of naivete that he brings into the mix. And I think that it is actually a really good act because, again, the people who look at Mike Lindell as just this crazy pillow guy that's a conservative, they think of him as crazy and not too bright. Can you see that? Because they're so full of themselves, and especially like the intellectual elites, people like that look at somebody like him and they actually have disdain for him. And so they don't take him seriously. And a lot of them actually have disdain for Trump because he has perfected the act and he's perfected that sort of goofy innocence and naivete about things. And so people just dismiss him out of hand and they don't think that he actually has they don't think he's on the ball at all. In the meantime, he is pulling strings and making things work behind the scenes, and he's actually accomplishing a great deal. Do you see that? Do you see that happening? It is the Columbo Act, and they're both doing it, and the enemies are fooled by it every single time. And so the fact that we have Mike Lindell out here doing this and coming across as total buffoons who don't know how media works. Remember, Mike Lindell is a household name in many circles, and he's becoming more of a household name. And he has why? Because he runs ads repeatedly, right? For the best night's sleep in the whole wide world, right? He has that jingle, and he does these ads about a pillow, and he has dozens of products now on his website. And so you have, on the one hand, you have that somebody who has built an empire around pillows, and you have this person who is literally putting on the Columbo Act and the Buffoon Act and convincing everybody that he doesn't even know how this all works, and he's just out there chasing down evidence and votes, and by golly, we're going to fix this. It's pretty brilliant, if you get what I'm saying. Are you seeing this? Same thing with Trump. So if it were anybody else that was coming out and saying, you just wait and see, it's going to be by this time, I would say, take it with a grain of salt. I don't know. If it's Mike Lindell, I'm guessing that he knows things that you don't know. He literally has put his life on the line. He can't even go home because his life is threatened. So if you think that he's blowing smoke and that he's not chasing after the truth, and if he's not over the target, then why is his life threatened? I mean, if he really is a fool, if he really is crazy, if he really is a buffoon who doesn't know what he's talking about, why are they silencing him? Why did they take over his Twitter account? I mean, ask yourself. So I think that it's important to make the distinction when George is telling us to be careful about following people who are giving exact dates and times and keep moving the goalpost. I don't know that he would put Mike Lindell in that category. It's a completely different scenario. So I think just keep that in mind. And you know, I 100% believe that Trump is going to be back in office, and that it's not going to be 2022 or 2024. That's not how he's going to get back into office. I believe that the truth will come out, and that there will be a precipitating event. There will be a precipitating event or events, and I believe that some of those are at play and in motion right now. So don't give up. I mean, there's no way that Donald Trump would be endorsing candidates and essentially taking over the Republican Party right now, and talking about winning in 2022 if he didn't know for sure that there is a plan to fix what was stolen and what has not worked for so long. If anything, Donald Trump is very pragmatic. I mean, he could be completely retired right now and just hanging out at Mar-a-Lago and, like stamp collecting and playing golf. He could be doing that. He could just walk off into the sunset and say, I just gave it the old college try, and dang it, dadgummit, I lost. So if that's the case, then why is he endorse? Why is he putting out these statements? Why is he launching a media brand? Why is he endorsing candidates? Okay? That's what is important to understand. He's not doing this for a hobby. And here's another thing that I have been thinking about, and you don't have to agree with me. This I'm just thinking out loud. I almost wonder. I almost wonder if everything that happened in the past 4 years, leading up to November 3rd, I wonder if a lot of that was actually planned. That if it was part of the plan uh, to let people see for themselves and to clean up the whole thing. Because here's the thing. Some of you think that okay, if he just comes back into office, everything is going to be fine. That's what you mean. You're thinking like clean up on aisle 10, somebody fix this and make it better so I don't hurt so much. Uh, what he's doing and what he's involved in is so much bigger than you could ever imagine. And I really am starting to think that there's a lot more to what he's doing and what he has been doing. That there are too many coincidences that just don't add up when you think about all that has come into play so far. And I said this at the beginning during when we first found out and came to the realization that there had been massive election fraud. I and I'm going to this again because I think it might be true. I think that it was a sting. I do. I think that they actually walked right into the trap. And I think that some of them have already turned, and I think that some of them are under our control, and I think that some of them have made deals, and I think that some of them are scared to death because that they know that, for example, certain people have been taken in to custody, certain people are missing, certain people have turned. And so if you're a criminal mastermind at the top of the chain of criminality and corruption, and the key people that you know are instrumental in completing your plan, if a lot of those have turned up missing or have been arrested unbeknownst to the people, imagine what it's like for you at night to go to bed and put your head down on the pillow. Do you think those people are having a good night's sleep? Because I explained to you that I think that the way that we're dealing with this, and the reason that some of you think that "Ma, nothing is happening," um, is that our military, if our military is involved, which I think they are, that there are special operators that are dealing with a lot of the quote arrests or handing down indictments and things like that. uh, don't ever forget that Trump said, "We caught the swamp. We caught them all." That means all. I mean, think about the people that are missing right now who aren't uh, talking. I think the election specifically was a sting, that part of it, but there are other parts too. But think about this. So um, where is uh, Hussein? Has anybody heard from him the last few days? Where's Adam Schiff? Where's Little Pencil Neck? Where's Paul Ryan? I don't know, guys. I mean, I think that if you are, if you're focused on your own pain and you're focused on how if you're focused on what's not happening, uh, then it would be very easy to despair. I get that. But, and part of, what the Bible says, if anybody is lacking wisdom, ask, and God will give it freely. That's in the book of James. And so I think it's James 4. And so if you're trying to understand what's going on here, I really truly recommend that you pray and ask God to reveal things to you. I mean, that's how I figure out things that I figure out. I listen to different things, and then I get revelation. That's what the Bible says in Ephesians. I pray that you would have the spirit of wisdom and revelation. And that's what that means, that God reveals things to you. Yeah, where's Comey? Where's Peter Strzok? Where are the Awan brothers? Where's Debbie Wasserman Schultz? I mean, where are they? It's a good question, isn't it? So, yeah. And then here's the other thing. I would encourage you, if you think that nothing is happening, that you start to. Obama was at an NCAA tournament. Okay, so he's being very quiet. All right. So I would encourage you to go on the DOJ website and look at convictions and charges on there. Because think about this. Let me ask you this. Do you think that the Mockingbird media is going to come out and announce to you every time one of their own people gets picked up, or every time their pedophile network has another arrest? Is CNN going to be announcing that? Because if you're waiting on them to announce it, no wonder you're depressed. I'm just saying. I don't know. And here's the thing. I really want to encourage you not to major on the minors, because I see a lot of people doing that. I see people getting very distracted by little outrages that come along every single day. Oh my gosh, I can't believe they're doing this. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. The devil wants to keep you in a constant state of outrage so that you stop focusing on the goodness of God, and you stop seeking him, and you stop looking at him and asking him and seeking him for wisdom. Because if you're outraged about something all the time, then you don't have time to sit at the feet of Jesus and listen to him and worship. So try, when something comes across your screen or your social media and you find yourself feeling outraged, what if you go and turn on a worship song and put the social media down for a minute and focus on who God is and how good he is, and how he brought the Israelites out of captivity, out of 400 years of captivity. This is a good question. If you don't like the travel passport, why are you still wearing a mask? Start there. Shut off the TV. Yeah, I realized years ago when I was teaching, I used to have about a 30-minute commute, and I was listening to NPR, and they have their voices and they train them to talk a certain way, and they coach you to talk in a voice that's very hypnotic, and they tell you, "Good morning, we're here to bring you the news, and we have a story for you about somebody's desperate life in a third world country and how all of us are racist and we're going to have to change our ways. And by the time you get to work, you're completely depressed. Uh, you're completely depressed, and then you got to work all day and teach children." And so, uh, um, yeah, and so I realized it was like a form of mind control, and I just turned it off. I stopped. I stopped. Um, I stopped listening. I started listening to worship music. It made all the difference. Uh, Yeah. So, yeah, so just be aware of that, and be aware too that even as a Christian, you can get addicted to news and information, and so just be careful about that. Okay. Um, yeah, our passport is the United States Constitution. Exactly. Fourth Amendment. Yeah. Um, so that being said, I'm driving to Oklahoma because I decided that I don't want to engage in I just don't want to get on an airplane right now. I don't want to take part in their communist agenda. So I'm taking my car in for service next week to get it checked and to get new tires. So I'm just going to take a road trip, you guys, to the conference. And yeah, we'll see. Um, somebody says I've focused on all the bizarre things uh, in the last year. I thought in the 1980s abortion would fade away. I was wrong. It's a religion. Yeah. Yeah. The interesting thing is that when it comes to abortion, uh, um, that when it comes to abortion, um, the human trafficking, in my opinion, is is the overlooked tragedy. Uh, you know, we've we've been while we were focusing on abortion, while some of us were focusing on abortion, while we were outraged about certain things, while we were distracted by the war on drugs and the war on poverty, the very people that we elected to put into Washington, even the war on terrorism, while we were distracted by that, they were running multi billion dollar human trafficking rings right through our country and through our borders and all over our country and on the internet. I would say that that is the biggest hoodwinking of the world at large, and this is something that President Trump has brought awareness to. That he is the one who really he's the only president ever to sign executive orders having to do with it and to resolve actually to end it and the harvesting and those other things play right into that. So I think it's very interesting. Uh, so yeah, the president has really shined a light on things, and I think that if you have conversations with people uh, who who are still down on him and talk about how evil he is, I would bring up the trafficking aspect, you know, because there's people who think that he was like literally Hitler. And I would just ask them, so tell me how what Hitler did to end worldwide human trafficking. Because if you're going to compare Trump to that person, I want to know what similarities you see between them. Because that's what Trump has done. Trump has actually done that. He's the one person who has stood up to these people. Think about that. That's a good question to ask. That's like a mic drop moment. Oh, he's literally Hitler. Oh, so Hitler put an end to human trafficking because he actually literally trafficked people and experimented on them and harvested their organs and forced castration on people. I'm just saying, you know. Um, so I've enjoyed the chat today. Thank you guys for your comments. And so I was on a conference call earlier, and somebody brought up an expression. Do you guys know what ROI is? ROI in sales. Do you guys know what it means? So it's a return on investment. But somebody told me um, a different definition of that. They said ripple of impact. What is your ROI? What is your ripple of impact? And I wanted to um, bring that out into the conversation today because I think that's an important question as we move through what's happening, as we move through the revelation, as we move through and understand this this time that we're in, and as we process and as we make decisions about how to handle and deal with and communicate and what to do around the things that we're learning. Um, how are you going to choose to do that? And what is your ripple of impact? So when your words land, when your thoughts land, whether it's verbally, audibly, on paper, think of them as a pebble that is dropped into the water. And if those words are negative, you think about the ripples that come out from just one pebble being dropped in the water. And so, what are those ripples? What ripples are you creating by the things that you're saying and thinking and by the actions that you're taking? That's my challenge to you right now, because the words that you speak do not go into a void. The thoughts that you're thinking and the agreements that you're making do not go into a void. Picture that pebble that you're throwing into the water. And what is the impact? What is the ripple of impact that you're making? So just think about that. And yeah. So, yeah. So, ripple of impact, return on investment, ripple of impact. So, think about that. Write that down. I think it's good. I think it's good to think about that. And let's see, what time is it? Okay, I've got to get going here. I wanted to invite you to come back tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern. And I also wanted to invite you, we're coming on the end of the month. We do have we do have one more session of superfoods coaching this Wednesday. We have a live session. So if you're new to superfoods, I'm shifting to superfoods now. If you're new to that or you're still thinking about purchasing and you haven't quite gotten to that, you can come. It's going to be at 8 Eastern. But more importantly, if you have uh, been thinking about getting the world's best, highest quality organic superfoods into your body, this is the time. It's springtime. It's ready. It's a good time to spring forward into health. It's a good time to change your diet and to get some, fresher foods into your body. And the beautiful thing about our superfoods is that we make it super, super easy. And oh, Vicky just said she's on day 8. She's down 4 pounds. That's so awesome. Delia's here today too. Delia, you've lost, I think it was 61 pounds. Yeah, so she committed to initially like a 90-day run and a 90-day transformation, and then she's kept with it on maintenance on like modifications over a 6-month period, and now I think you're like 8 months in, Delia. It's amazing. And so the great thing about this is that we have these superfoods and we have a system that's a transformation, like a reset. And it's very helpful because it's a very simple system that helps you to reach your goals, and it simplifies your life. I have a super busy life, as you know, and I love my superfoods because I can be on the go and I can take one of my superfood shakes with me out the door and get incredibly high quality nutrition in my body. I mean, I wasn't really a big fast food person before ever, but I don't even remember the last time now that I went through any kind of drive-through because I don't need it. And it doesn't nourish you anyway. So if you have some goals, if you're trying to take off some weight, if you're trying to get healthy, if you're dealing with brain fog, if you want to sleep better, if you want to get some inflammation down, if you're dealing with a lot of joint pain and things like that, I hear stories from people who tell me that they've been able to reset their body in amazing ways using our superfoods because your body is created to to restore itself and to rebuild if you put the right ingredients and foods into your body. That's what we have. It's just good food. And so please email me info@marygracemedia.com. Info@marygracemedia.com. Can somebody reply to Catherine on Facebook? She's got the wrong email. Okay. Info@marygracemedia.com to get a voucher. When you get the voucher from me, you're going to save over $100 off retail on your 30-day supply of this plan. And there's a way to set it up so that you can actually save 25% off future orders once you become a customer. So if you're not already doing that, message me and make sure that you get that information. It's called Smart Order. Um, okay, Nina, I don't know if I'm saying that right. You stopped craving cigarettes. Somebody was just asking about that the other day in one of the Facebook chats. I've heard of that before. I know somebody that was a long-term smoker, and when she started getting on the superfoods, she actually her cravings for cigarettes stopped. So it's interesting, the things that we have as addictions, a lot of times it's filling a void nutritionally, and we don't even know it until we start getting good nutrition. So it's info@marygracemedia.com. And you can also go to the website, Mary Grace Media, and click on contact. Marygracemedia.com, click on contact, and you can get to me that way. You can also support the show. Go to marygracemedia.com and click on support. And thank you to all of you who do that, either one time or monthly. That's just amazing. And it helps me to do things like put on the show. And it also helps me to do things like go to this conference in Tulsa. And that is a great thing, because then I can bring you what I have um, experienced during those times. Larry said he's lost 17 pounds in 6 weeks. That's so awesome. It's a really safe way to lose weight also. Um, no, it's info@marygracemedia.com. Info@marygracemedia.com. I would love to have the marygrace.com URL, but it's been taken and it's very expensive. So if you're going to that, I'm not going to get your emails. So info@marygracemedia.com. All right, so there we go. I'm looking to supplement my income. Is superfoods a good viable option or opportunity for that? Or is it just for nutrition? That's a great question, Charles. Yes, there is an opportunity to do that. If you want to find out more about becoming an affiliate with superfoods and getting your own referral code, you can do that. Write to me, info@marygracemedia.com. That's a great question. So, okay. Yes, I am going to Tulsa, Oklahoma. I don't know if I'm going to be live streaming from Tulsa, because I'm going to be behind the scenes a lot. And so you will be able to pick it up on, I think, One America News and RSBN. And the cool thing about Tulsa is that they're not letting the mainstream media in. It's so good. The mainstream media does not have a seat at the table. I think Flashpoint also is going to be streaming. Um, it's pretty awesome because everybody wants to be there. And, General Flynn's going to be there. Lynn Wood is going to be there. And a lot of other, Sidney Powell. I hope Mike Lindell comes. Ann Vandersteel is going to be there. So, yeah. So all of these networks are contacting Clay Clark and asking him, like, how can I want to do it? And he's like, nope, sorry. The media pool's already full. So it's just so good. So good. All right, I'll be back tomorrow at 5:30 Eastern. And if you need to reach me, info@marygracemedia.com. Have a great evening, everybody. Thank you for the great chat. And make sure you follow my Telegram. It's Mary Grace Media Official. Mary Grace Media Official. Okay, have a great evening, everybody. Take care.